And I think that's something a lot of people get wrong online, and something that when you are setting up the foundation of your financial strategy, skimping on quality to save a few dollars on commission, in my opinion, I'm just sharing my personal opinion here, is not worth it. I would far rather invest and pay for quality as long as the commission is reasonable and at that 2% or lower. Hey everyone, this is Ian from ppcian.com, and I'm back with another video about dividend growth investing. I have been receiving an amazing amount of questions from the community on my YouTube channel, and I am forever grateful. Today's video is going to address one of those very questions, and it is about selecting a broker for one's dividend growth portfolio. When you are a dividend growth investor, you have a very different philosophy than most other investors out there. You're typically buying smaller increments of stock, your dollar cost averaging in over time, and you're buying for the dividends. You're taking those dividends, you're oftentimes reinvesting them into either the same stock that issued them or another stock, and you're trying to compound your stock ownership, your dividend income over time, so that one day your dividend income surpasses and covers all of your living expenses. And obviously, being a dividend growth investor, you're probably going to have some different considerations than other types of investors when selecting a brokerage account. Now, I did do a video here on ppcian a while ago offering 3 ways to buy dividend stocks, and I talked about traditional brokerage accounts, I talked about transfer agents, and I talked about new disruptive technologies and apps. Today I'm actually going to dig down deeper into the first one, the broker. So we're just going to talk about brokers today, and if you're out there, you want to buy dividend stocks, you're evaluating brokers, how you can find the right broker for you. And so the first thing that I think is really important for dividend growth investor that's very different than any other investor is time horizon. Most dividend growth investors, to be successful, you're going to be at this 10, 20, 30 or more years. It takes time for the compounding snowball effect to happen. And if you're in it for that long and you're picking a broker, you probably want to pick a broker that's going to be around for the next 30 years or more. So I like to go with brand name brokers, ones that have been around forever, ones that have a track record, ones that are solid and stable. So I don't want to name specific names today, but you know who I'm talking about. These are the big guys, the ones that have that strength to stick around for the long term. So that's going to probably be even more important for a dividend investor than any other type of investor because the time horizon is so long. I also like to look at commissions. When you're a dividend investor, the maximum that I personally ever like to spend when buying a stock on commissions is about 2% of my total purchase. So if I'm investing $100, I better not put more than $2 into my commission. If I'm investing $500 at a time, I better not put more than $10 as my commission. And if I'm investing $1,000, no more than $20. You get the picture. Although these days I can't imagine any broker out there that's reasonably competitive would have a $20 commission, although I'm sure there's some. So the fact of the matter is well, how did I arrive at this? 2%. Most stocks these days in the dividend space are going to offer a starting yield probably around 2%. Sometimes somewhere between 1.5% and 3%, but 2%, kind of reasonable number. The reason I picked 2% is you're going to pay back that 2% just in the dividends you receive in the first year. Everything else is gravy. So that's how I came up with 2%. Now, the more you can minimize that commission, the better. But at the same time, I don't mind paying a commission for stability and quality. And I think that's something a lot of people get wrong online, and something that when you are setting up the foundation of your financial strategy, skimping on quality to save a few dollars on commission, in my opinion, I'm just sharing my personal opinion here, is not worth it. I would far rather invest and pay for quality as long as the commission is reasonable and at that 2% or lower. So next thing, dividend growth investing. One of the most critical aspects of dividend growth investing is taking the dividends and reinvesting them. And there's two ways to do this. You could reinvest them in the same stock that pay the dividend, or you could take the dividends and put them in another stock. Doesn't matter which one happens. It's just important, in my opinion, for a dividend growth investor to actually reinvest dividends. And so in selecting a broker, it's important to look at reinvestment options. What are the options that exist? If a broker doesn't have a reinvestment option at all, may not be the best broker for a dividend growth investor unless you're really big. Like, let's say you have a huge portfolio and the dividends that are coming in are so big that you can pool them pretty quickly and then just reinvest them yourself manually by just making a trade, and the commission, the volume you're doing, the magnitude you're buying is so big that the commissions don't really matter. That's a different case. But for most of us out there, when you want to reinvest and you're reinvesting smaller amounts of dividends, you want a broker that offers a good reinvestment program. And there are a few things here you want to look at. One, fees. I'm okay paying fees when it comes to purchasing stock, doing trades. I don't mind it. We just covered that. In fact, I almost value paying the fee in a weird way, that I know I'm getting quality and I know I'm going with a brand name company that's been around forever, that will probably continue to be around, that I trust. But when it comes to reinvesting dividends, no, I don't want to pay fees in that case. And so, or at least I want to minimize them. But I don't want to lie here. There are cases where I am paying fees to reinvest dividends, but in general, I try to keep the fees low or zero on reinvesting dividends. And so when you're hunting for brokers, make that part of your evaluation criteria. So another thing to look at is fractional versus whole shares. If you have a large portfolio and the amount of dividend income you're bringing in is pretty big, it's probably fine if you're only reinvesting when you have enough money to buy whole shares. But if your dividend checks, your dividend payouts are pretty low, you may want to look at the reinvestment policy of your broker or the brokers you're considering and see if they allow you to buy fractional shares. Because fractional shares are going to work for people who don't have as large of dividend income coming out, who are just starting and building the snowball effect. So not only do you want a broker that has a dividend reinvestment program, you want a broker that allows you to do it with low or no fees, and you want a broker that allows you to buy fractional shares, I would say, for many of the dividend growth investors out there. So next criteria, you want to go with a broker that is member SIPC and member FINRA. So SIPC is the Securities Investor Protection Corporation. FINRA is the successor to I believe the NASD. These are both government organizations, to my knowledge, that put rules and regulations in place that brokers must abide by to basically protect customers like you and me. And one of the things that's really important with SIPC is, by being a member SIPC, you get $500,000 insurance per account. And I think that breaks down half and half to stock and cash. If you have more than $250,000 cash, it may not be covered by SIPC. Don't quote me on this. This is just my recollection of the rules here. But going with a broker, these are table stakes. If they're not member SIPC and member FINRA, I would probably not go with that broker. These are just table stakes. The broker has to have those for protection of one's assets that you are entrusting to the broker. And this is really important, because check out my other video I did about 3 ways to buy dividend growth stocks. When you buy stocks at a broker, it's not in your name. It's in the broker's name. It's in what's called street name. And so you're trusting the broker a lot. And to have that trust, they need to have the insurance, they need to have the protection. So doubling down on that point, I like to go with a broker that not only is member SIPC, but has taken on extra insurance above the $500,000. So many of the great brokers out there, they have backup insurance policies that insure your account for much more than $500,000, sometimes up in the millions. And that's what I like to see. I like to see brokers that take the insurance and the protection of their clients seriously. Because again, the clients, you and me, we're placing a lot of trust in these brokers, especially because they're holding the stock in street name, in their name, not our individual name. And that's just something, again, you want to learn more about that, check my video on the 3 ways to buy dividend growth stocks. I'll list a link to it below in the description if you want to refer to that video. So another thing worth considering, I don't have an opinion on this necessarily either way, but I think some of you out there do, because I've seen it in the comments. If it is important to you to go with a broker that has a local branch, make that part of your criteria. If you don't care, you don't care. One of the things that I think is interesting about local branches is, even if you don't plan to use it at all, just by the fact that they have those local branches, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's also a bad thing, because we hear in the news these days that retail is doing bad, and maybe it's just dead weight, or it's holding the corporation back. I don't know. I think everyone needs to come up with their own opinion on that. But you probably want to make that part of your criteria as you're selecting a stockbroker for your dividend growth investing. So this is Ian Lopuk, ppcian.com. I'm talking about dividend growth investing. I'm sharing some thoughts today about how I personally go about evaluating brokers when I'm selecting a broker specifically for the purposes of dividend growth investing. I want to have a disclaimer that I am not an investment advisor. This is not investment advice. This is just for fun and entertainment. Sharing my passion here on YouTube with everyone. I love dividend growth and investing, but again, just for fun and entertainment. And if you are serious about investing in stocks, investing in financial instruments, please do go out there and find a licensed investment advisor to consult with before you do so. Thank you so much for watching the video today. Thank you for the questions. Please keep them rolling in. We are getting so many questions here on the PPC Ian YouTube channel, and they fuel the comments. So please comment below. If you are able to like this video, if you're able to subscribe, it would really mean the world to me. That is the greatest way that you can say, hey, thank you, Ian, you're doing a good job here on YouTube. I want to see more of your content in the future. Helps me out, helps my channel grow, and I am really grateful when I see the likes and the subscriptions flow through. So thank you for doing that in advance, and thank you to everyone who has already done that. I will see you in the next dividend growth investing video.